Hey guys, this is your host Nitin Binhani, and a very warm welcome to my startup podcast channel Jazair Audio, where we share real stories with real learnings.
India drinks beverages 3 times a day, including tea, nimbu pani, lassi, coconut water, maaza, Sprite, you name it. Yet, we're watching rupees 200 crore or $24 million beverage startups collapse like dominoes. So, why are India's new age beverage startups, often backed by marquee investors, shutting down, selling in distress, or bleeding money? Let's unpack the brutal truth in 4 parts, followed by the key lessons for founders. Part 1. The consumer taste has changed. Let's start with the heart of the issue, the consumer. For a long time, beverage brands in India thrived on one formula: sweet, shelf-stable, and mass market. But times have changed, especially in urban India. 80% of urban consumers now check sugar levels before buying a drink, and over 50% prefer fresh over packaged. People are choosing nimbu pani over neon-colored soda and fresh coconut water over carbonated sugar bombs. Yet many startups and their investors continue to bet on old assumptions. They presume the beverage market would behave like it did in the early 2000s, but it doesn't. Take the case of Raw Pressery, a brand that made premium, cold-pressed juices and was perceived to be a D2C disruptor. Backed by Sequoia, it raised over rupees 200 crore or $24 million. And yet, it was sold in a distress deal to Wingreen's Farms, a ready-to-eat food brand. Why? Because the brand failed to scale profitably. In FY 2018, Raw Pressery reported a net loss of rupees 48 crore or $5.8 million, with operating revenues being just rupees 32 crore or $3.8 million. Also, urban health-conscious consumers liked the idea, but the price point, availability, and logistics didn't add up. Indian consumers haven't stopped drinking, they have just gotten smarter about what they're drinking. Part 2. Large funding isn't PMF. There's a common myth in our ecosystem that if you raise enough capital, you'll figure out the growth. However, the Indian beverages sector has proved that funding is not the same as product-market fit. Take Paperboat, for example. Founded by ex-Coca-Cola executives and backed by marquee investors like GIC and Peak Spuntvee Partners, Paperboat has raised rupees 1,030 crore or $143 million so far. Their nostalgia-based drinks, Aam Panna, Jaljeera, Thandai, captured great attention. Yet despite strong revenue growth of rupees 585 crore or $69 million in FY 2024, Paperboat is still struggling to turn a real profit. Its FY 2024 losses stood at rupees 47 crore or $5.8 million. And its return on capital employed and EBITDA margin stood at negative 15.5% and negative 5.6% respectively. And Paperboat isn't alone. As investors wake up to the reality, they're pulling back from the F&B sector. Funding has dropped 57% since 2022. Even Coca-Cola's India profits are down by 42%. Here's the bottom line. You can't outfund bad unit economics. Sooner or later, reality catches up, and either your burn rate buries you or you're forced into a distress sale if you're lucky. Part 3. Scaling in India is a distribution nightmare. Let's talk logistics. India is a retail jungle where Kirana stores dominate and refrigeration is inconsistent. So, if your product needs cold chain logistics, you're in for an expensive ride. Raw Pressery learned this the hard way. Their cold-pressed juices required cold storage, shelf life management, and speed. But achieving national distribution was astronomically expensive. Besides, the margins are razor-thin, as the money goes into retailer commissions, distributor margins, spoilage, transportation, warehouse leakage, etc. Startups, even with solid products, often underestimate the cost and complexity of scaling their ventures. And if you're trying to beat Coca-Cola and Pepsi on the same battlefield, good luck, because they have decades of head start and billions to burn. Part 4. Regulatory, pricing, and positioning pitfalls. Many innovative beverages, whether it's non-alcoholic beers, kombucha, or cold brews, are classified as non-essential under Indian tax regime. That means GST rates ranging from 28% to 40%, sometimes with added cess. Imagine building a health drink and suddenly it's taxed like a luxury item. That's exactly what happened to Coolberg, a non-alcoholic beer brand. Despite no alcohol, the high GST bracket pushed it into the price range of actual beer, killing its value proposition. Then there's pricing pressure. Startups that use real ingredients and small batch production can't match the pricing of mass market players like Dabur, Tata, or Pepsi. Frisia, known for kombucha and cold brews, couldn't reach the scale required to survive. They shut down. Kojo, Just Amazing, and dozens of others flamed out before you even heard of them, stuck in the no man's land between premium pricing and mainstream adoption. Finally, lessons for the founders. Here are 5 conclusive takeaways if you're thinking about entering the beverage space, or honestly, any consumer product category in India. 1. Start with deep consumer truths. Don't just assume that what worked in LA or Singapore will work in Bengaluru. Indian consumers are evolving, though slowly, while price and availability still dominate. 2. Don't confuse fundraising with product market fit. Your rupees 100 crore or $12 million raise means nothing if you can't sell profitably to 1 million customers. Hence, focus on margins, not just gross merchandise value or GMV. 3. Plan for scale since day one. This is a high-volume, low-margin business. If you can't distribute profitably and at scale, your unit economics will never work. 4. Stay nimble and watch policy. One regulation can change your cost structure overnight. Stay lean, stay adaptive. Be prepared for state-level compliance chaos and unexpected tax hits. 5. Build a brand that's bigger than a fad. Niche is nice, but in India, only scale survives. Consumers don't just need a new flavor, they need a healthy reason to switch habits. Indian beverage startups aren't dying because people stop drinking. They're dying because the beverages startups misread the market, misjudged scale, and misused capital. This space isn't doomed, it's just harder, messier, and slower than most founders would expect. And if you can crack this market, the reward is massive, but only if you come prepared for war. Folks, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Join us next time as we continue exploring the dynamic world of startups and the valuable lessons from their journeys.